Chapter 7. So, does SCA come with a gift receipt? The words of Jessica Wolfer, my third child. When I was a little kid, during the day, my mom went to work fairly early in the morning, and my siblings all went to school. This meant that until I was old enough for school, it was just my dad and I every day. Now, to be fair, I was pretty little, so I just remember bits and pieces. But I remember for me what truly matters. I don't really remember my father's ataxia. I didn't see any signs of this until I was a little bit older. What I do remember is waking up every day and asking for apple juice, and my father pulling my cup out of the fridge. He had been prepared for me to ask this, seeing it as it was a daily demand. I remember playing hide and go seek and being amazing at it. I mean, when your dad is 6'2" and a good actor, it makes it pretty much easy to win. I remember playing game after game, watching movies, and just hanging out with my dad. Well, you can imagine, some things have changed over the years. I have noticed my father attacks him more and more, and we have grown out of hide and seek now. But my dad's attitude and selflessness has stayed the same. Instead of just knowing that I want apple juice, now it's things like, before I leave for work or school, he will go out and scrape my windshield so that I don't have to. Or by preparing dinner for the family almost every night. Over the years, as this condition has worsened, his attitude has remained the same, continuing to put others first, remain positive, inspire others, and find humor in almost every situation. Chapter 7. Christmas time at our house would always begin in November when I was growing up, because that was when my brothers and I would go on a hunt to find the exact location of our hidden presents. Every year, Mom would store the unwrapped presents in a hiding place, and we would have a little extra something to be thankful for when the family sat down to consume turkey on Thanksgiving. If we could just manage to locate the stash of gifts before then. The goal was to, like I said, to find them before they got wrapped. And as I remember it, we were only really successful at this a few times. Mom had discovered that we had been looking and responded by moving her hiding spot. Well, that wasn't her only response, mind you, but it is the only one that I will mention here. During all the other years, my brothers and I had another thing that we did around Christmas time that drove my mother crazy. She would not quite be able to seem to keep us from shaking the Christmas presents under the tree as soon as she put them out. Then we would sit about trying to guess what they contained based on what it was that we had asked for, and what we thought would fit in that size of a package that we were currently very carefully scrutinizing. One Christmas, in an effort to keep us from guessing which presents belonged to us, Mom decided to number all the gifts, and in that way we would not be able to figure this out. She wrote all our names and the corresponding numbers on a master list, and it appeared to be an entirely foolproof plan. Well, that is until Christmas morning, when she discovered that she had lost the list and had no idea where to find it. And so on that Christmas morning, my brothers and I would take packages that seemed like they might be something that we wanted, and we opened them up. If we got it wrong and opened up something that we had not asked for, we would politely give it to the person who had asked for it. Well, this system worked in the face of the fact that we had no other alternative, and it was a good system for my older brothers. However, for me, as a younger brother, it took a little more tact to set my presents free from the clutches of my older brothers, who had claimed everything was theirs just to torment me. There were four of us brothers living at home, and I was the third child. So when my two older brothers got married and moved out, I became the big brother. My little brother, there were 7 years difference, had an annoying little habit of getting up about 5 a.m. on Christmas morning and running around the house yelling and screaming and telling everyone to wake up so that he could open his presents. Well, one year I decided that I had taken enough, and I made plans that would for once give him something that he could really scream about. Our father used to tell us that if we were not good, Santa Claus would still come, but he would fill our stockings full of raw carrot sticks instead of toys. Being the kindly older brother that I am, I decided to have a little fun with that. I got up about 3:30 a.m. Christmas morning, and I poured all the toys out of my brother's stocking, and I filled it full of raw carrots. I was awakened at 5 a.m. per usual, as he ran around the house screaming bloody murder and lamenting about the unfairness of it all. I'm pretty sure that I got in trouble for this stunt, but it was totally worth it. Another of the really good times that happened around the family Christmas tree was the first year of Christmas that Melissa and I spent together as a married couple. There was going to be a large family gathering with my older brothers and their families at my parents' house on Christmas Day. So to make things simpler, Melissa and I decided to spend the night at my parents' house on Christmas Eve. Well, the opportunity to have some fun presented itself as soon as my mom decided to put us in the same bedroom as the one that she had chosen to store all the gifts in for the next day's gathering. So we selected several packages, carefully unwrapped them, and then removed what was inside. For my oldest brother and his wife, we decided to switch their gifts, and then carefully rewrap them so that no one would be able to tell. The result was that now my oldest brother received the house coat that his wife had wanted, and she got a very nice men's sweater instead. Well, for my younger brother, we took out the brand new pair of jeans that he had been wanting and replaced it with the dirty old pair that I had been wearing that day. The confusion on my mom's face when everyone opened their gifts was priceless, not to mention the look of pure astonishment on the faces of the recipients. My younger brother especially was very confused, as he held up his dirty jeans, kept turning them around in the air and muttering, thanks, Mom. Just like many of you, Christmas held some very dear and wonderful memories. Probably the earliest one that I have is when I was 4 or 5 years old, and the second oldest brother had been begging my father for a horse. My dad, however, was clear on the fact that he did not want a horse because he raised cattle and a horse would ruin his fences. So on one Christmas morning, several months after this whole thing had begun to brew, my brothers and I had gotten up while it was still dark outside. In a fervor of anticipation, we were first told that we needed to go out to the barn and do all our chores before we were going to be allowed to eat breakfast and open our gifts. Well, I tromped out to the barn using a flashlight while being accompanied by my brothers, who were grumbling and complaining all the way. The brother that seemed to be complaining the most was the one who wanted the horse. But little did he know at the time that the horse that he so desperately wanted had been begging for was in the barn waiting for him. As soon as his light struck the horse, he froze, going into complete shock and wondering if what he was seeing was actually real. I wasn't even the one who was the recipient of such a pleasant surprise that Christmas morning, but I will remember it always. Well, like most children, it took me a while to realize that Christmas was not just about getting presents, but it was about the joy of giving. Some people in your life are always easier to purchase for and make things for, but for others, it is consistently harder to think of things to get for them. Luckily, someone came up with the perfect plan of the gift receipt. I have been both a giver and the receiver of a gift receipt, but I have never actually had the need to use one. I can't even remember a time when I was glad that someone gave one to me or thought upon receiving a gift that the first thing that I was going to do was return it. I never thought this way. That is until I received this very special gift of spinal cerebellar ataxia. If I had been able to refuse delivery to begin with, I wouldn't have needed a gift receipt. However, not being able in a position that I could reject the shipment, it would have been nice that if I had at least had one provided to me so that I had the option of returning it. The nice thing about the gift receipt was that in the end, it really didn't matter what the reason was you're returning the item. So, for example, with my SCA, it wouldn't have mattered at all that I did not want the gift of a neurological handicap because it was not my size, or because it made my butt look too big. It wouldn't even have mattered that it caused me to look fat, or that the color didn't even match my hair, my eyes, my shoes, or any of my clothing. And it also would have made absolutely no consequence that I had already tried it on and decided that it just simply was not going to work out for me. The fact remains, however, that SCA did not come with any possible means to refuse delivery or in any way in lieu of a gift receipt to return it. All of this leads me to the conclusion that all that remains for me now is to try to do my best to use my SCA in a positive way. And it has become my constant endeavor to see that this very thing comes to pass.